Never seen a robber like that. Not only is the hostage taker not afraid, on the contrary, they are actively cooperating. A white guy tried to sneak up on the robber. He was beaten by the hostages. Even the cops tried to catch him. And the hostages bought him time. What's even more outrageous, when several of the hostages were released, in the face of questions from reporters, the evaluation of him was nothing but praise. Comments about the gunman. Is this a distortion of human nature or a loss of morality? The robbers were supported by the hostages. His name is John, originally a law-abiding man, working hard every day. Although life is a little hard, but I have a happy family. And a lively and lovely son. To this day, his son collapsed in the middle of a baseball game. Convulse all over. John rushed his son to the hospital. According to the doctor's diagnosis, his son has congenital heart disease, 3 times the size of a normal human heart. We need a transplant ASAP, but when I heard the cost of the surgery, the couple were devastated. $250,000 for a family like that. It's an astronomical number. And trying to get his son on the transplant list, you have to come up with $75,000. Fortunately, John's salary is not high, but I have to pay insurance every month. But the hospital director told him, your company's insurance policy, not a major surgery like this, and a suggestion to go with the flow. To put it bluntly, go home and die. The couple had no choice but to apply for Medicaid. You can stand in line all day and all night, only to be refused by the staff. My son is dying, I'm broke, if I don't qualify, who the hell does? That's how you turn to John, who has no way out, had to sell home appliances and furniture for money. He borrowed money from his friends. I even sold my wedding ring. I only got $90 in return, but the money is far from enough. On the recommendation of his friends, he went to the TV station for help, but the reporter didn't think the story was exciting enough, refused his request outright, and a phone call from his wife. It was the last straw. It doesn't matter, John, listen to me, they are releasing him. Come on now, baby, I talked to the hospital. Do you hear me? Do something? Desperate, John found a doctor. Promise you'll get the money as soon as you can, but once again the doctor refused. Angry John was driven to the extreme. He pulled out a pistol and held the doctor hostage. He chained the front and back doors. John didn't mean to hurt anyone. Just trying to save his son. The patients who did not escape were declared all right. Hey, the hospital's on a new management now. How's that? Even if he became a robber, still help others unconditionally. When he got the call for help, will patiently tell the hospital address, seeing a pregnant woman about to give birth, and you arranged for an escort. Even brought in patients with gunshot wounds. He also ignored the danger. Please open the door so the doctor can operate immediately. It's a gut shot, I'm a cardiac surgeon. It's like riding a bike, doctor, just pretend you're getting paid. 2% local, let's go. Subscribe right now. That's it. Under his arrangement, every patient is treated efficiently. It wasn't long before a large number of police arrived on the scene. The negotiator asked John about his purpose, and John had only one request, just trying to get my son on the transplant list. All you get is delay and deception. Meanwhile, when the people in the emergency room found out what John was doing, there was also an outpouring of sympathy. John had been wondering, why is the child at birth such an obvious heart disease? The hospital didn't find out. An honest doctor told the truth. There's your answer. The HMO sends the doctor a fat-ass bonus check. As the discussion goes deeper and deeper, people began to understand what had happened to John. Just then, there's a pregnant woman among the hostages who's really upset. But there's no obstetrician here. For humanitarian reasons, John freed the pregnant couple and delivered a mother and a son safe. The hostage coming out of the emergency room, in an interview with the press, shouting that the robber was a good man. Especially, the chief of police did not even consider John's request to prevent the incident from spreading again. He and the lady of the hospital found John's wife, telling him the hospital had agreed to schedule surgery for his son. But you need to convince your husband. The wife cried excitedly after hearing it. But in fact, the chief resigned to lure John into the sniper spot. It didn't take long. John received a phone call from his wife. The good news that my son was saved. He was so excited that tears streamed down his face. The wife also gave the phone to the son. After Ather, how's my boy, huh? Gonna die? You're not gonna die, of course not. This fairy tale of death and death just happened to be intercepted by the radio crew. It was broadcast live nationwide, but the police department had no idea. Got the sniper on John with an order. John was shot and fell, but luckily the bullet missed. He angrily dragged the sniper down, beat the shit out of him, and the people watching live have criticized the actions of the police. The secretary had no choice but to call out the negotiator again. But the reaction of John, I don't trust the police anymore. He decided to use the sniper as a hostage. Exchange your own son. Face the pressure of the masses and public opinion. The director had to comply, but the son was sent here. What if we don't have the right heart? John thought for a moment. Glancing at the hospital bed, the son said. The hostages were shocked. They all tried to persuade John. The success rate of surgery is too low. But John had his heart broken. I couldn't watch my son die. The doctor was also moved by a selfless father's love. At the risk of losing your license, agreed to John's request. He then went to the hospital room to say a final farewell to his son. To say his last words, John went to the other operating room. He pulled the only bullet out of his pocket. That's when everyone realized. Turns out John was carrying an empty gun. He never meant to hurt anyone. This bullet is for myself. Just as he was about to pull the trigger. Good news from the hospital. A woman died in a car accident. The heart is a match for the sun. The wife hurried to the consulting rooms just in the nick of time. It prevented a tragedy from happening. The end of the film, the plane airlifted the heart. And the hostages got out safely, and John was taken to the police car. But negotiators know it when they see it. The man arrested wasn't even John. He's a hostage. The expert smiled with relief. He knows John now. Must be in surgery with his son. Soon the operation was a success. Sophisticated insurance companies were penalized. John was also sentenced to 3 years for taking hostages. He used his own prison to give my son a new life, but more because of his father's love. Give him hope to live. Just like father said. You must be in the right place, and that noble man was the father.